if you're struggling to make money, it is most definitely an indicator that you have some healing to do, that you have some insecurities to overcome, and you just need to do some self-work.
We're talking about 2 million in revenue in just a thought of like, yo, let's work together. I think my question to go along with that is, what are some of the true foundation that a business needs to have to reach a revenue goal like that?
Yeah. There's so many different factors that go into it, but what I like to think I specialize in, although I can play different pockets, at least for extreme execution, because we're a small company. At the end of the day, our department is run by 3 people. We have support services that we lean on from time to time, say for legal and accounting and some other minor things. But for the most part, 2 or 3 people run our entire department. So this is not a 20-person company or a 5-person company who you have access to at all times, and you're able to utilize those resources to generate a multi-million-dollar bottom line or top line at the end of the year. You have to move a little bit differently, and that opens up the room for you to have to wear some different hats, right? So I'm not just a behind the scenes person, because I also co-lead our trainings and certifications and negotiations with clients. So it's like there's a lot of different things that you end up doing. But the way I think of it, at my core, I specialize in business development. And I think about business development as the process for how a brand brings their products and services to the marketplace while preserving their values, right? Everyone has a different definition for what they would call business development. It's a process, it's a this, it's a that. But for me, it's let's identify what your values are as a company, as a brand. What are the things that you truly care about? Because from those, you give birth and you give way to the customer experience, the customer journey. How are you going to allow people to interact with that which you bring to the marketplace? And then from there are we clear on what are our opportunities for a product and service to go to the marketplace, and then we fulfill that. Now, of course, there's a lot of other things that go with it. There's the marketing, there's the branding, there's the sale. There's so many different things, but I think business development has always been a bridge concept. I love the concept of building bridges, because bridges, or a bridge in general, it's a man-made structure that connects 2 things that would never meet. And so when you think about a person's values, their gifts, and the product and service with a customer and the experience that they have, business development is the thing that connects all of that together. That's how I've looked at it. So I would say for any company who's trying to reach their first 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever it is, I mean, any dollar number in general, today, I just look at it, it's difficult not to generate some level of revenue in today's marketplace. The business dynamic has become significantly easier. I mean, just think back to what I said in the beginning of this, when I said I had to communicate with people in China.
Yep.
And I had to shift my entire work schedule because there was a 12-hour time difference just to get images and communicate the design of what we want and the product and the pricing and this and that. Where today you can do that with a couple of clicks of a button on a website like dropshipping, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention that you could even have the design created for you by AI, and like, it's bananas. It's not difficult to make money today. I think if you're struggling to make money, it is most definitely an indicator that you have some healing to do, that you have some insecurities to overcome, and you just need to do some self-work. That's the business dynamic is just too easy today to not make money as it relates to, the online space.
Okay.
But on the forefront, yeah, that's a little bit about the process and how I see it.
Okay. So, kind of staying in line with that, and to turn into what we talk about on the podcast. I mean, if dealing with E, pretty much that is taking a personal brand and turning it into a business. My question to you is more on what, based off all your research, based off your experience, what are personal brands not doing in order to prepare themselves to turn themselves into a business? Like, what are some of the things they're overlooking? What are, I would say, give them three things that they're not doing, and hence why they're not getting the revenue they want, the looks that they want, and to really say, yo, that's a business, or that's, you're ending up to be an empire one day.
Yeah, I would say number one, they're blinded by their passion, right? They're
Mm,
so excited and emotionally attached to
Hold,
what
wait,
brings
first of
them.
all, you're not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say
I
what you
gotta
just
say the
said.
truth. I gotta say the truth. I gotta say the truth. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I'm just saying when you're so emotionally attached to what you do, it's difficult to see clearly how you can turn it into a business because your emotions are at play. So when you're blinded by your passion, it's going to be a big challenge for you to turn it into a business. Number two, when you're not clear on what industry you're in, right? And what is the rules, or how does your industry function from a business standpoint, right? So it's one thing to be in the space and you want to satisfy your desire to just be an entrepreneur. You're just desperately wanting to get to a space so that when somebody asks what you do, you can say, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur." And you like the response that someone may have when you tell them that answer.
right,
But you're missing out on, well, what industry are you in? Are you clear on how things work in that space? Like, how are billion-dollar companies operating in your industry?
right,
When I started to understand that we were in the training and education space and we were in the psychometric tool space, and there was $13 billion to spread, and another some, I don't know, $50 billion spent on just leadership training alone in the US, right? These are stats that I have come to learn and study because I started to understand that I'm not just in the space of hyping people up or helping people. There's a specific industry that you're a part of based on the product and service that you bring to the market. And you need to get clear on what is that industry, what's the market cap of that industry, and what are the rules of engagement in that space. Like, how was money made? How was money lost? What are the biggest challenges? What are the biggest opportunities? Where's the future headed in that space? When you start to get clear on that, I think that's the second one. And the third one, for most people who are just so talented that their gifts can almost override those first two things, at least for the time being, if they're still struggling from a business standpoint, they're just simply not asking for the sale, or they're not doing it the right way. So there's some people who can get themselves in a position to be clear and have all these different things, and they're attracting people to them. There's no issue, but they just can't overcome the hurdle of simply saying, "This cost this much, and
right.
here's how we transact," or at least creating a seamless process enough to make that happen. So I think from a starting standpoint, that's where is at when you start to talk scale and getting into big business. I think you have to talk systems and fulfillment, because there are studies that show that your business will break every time you 3x. So if you make $100,000 and your business grows to $300,000, whatever you were doing at 100,000 is not going to scale or function the same way at 300,000. And
Right.
so you have to be wise enough to say, all right, how do I rebuild my business at 300,000 to keep its authentic core still in place, but then prepare it for the new phase that we're in and hopefully where we're going. So you're always chasing growth. That's the truth. So I think a lot of people just get burnt out of that process. I mean, think about how many times you just have to rebuild or at least fix something from 100,000 to a million. If you use that study alone, you've at least done it 3.5 times. Some people get burned out of doing that. Like, yo, I'm tired of rebuilding yet another time.